Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. My name is Nikki Smokes. You guys are listening to Nikki's Smoke Shop. Week fucking one. How long has it been? 6-7 months since we got to do this shit? I can't control myself right now. I need to bring on a guest because I can't do this solo dolo. Ghost, welcome to the Smoke Show, brother. It's a privilege to have you here for the opening week.
It's a pleasure to be back. Be back on Twitter. Football season's back. I mean, is there a better time of the year, man? No sports exist except football right now until February. No sports exist. Exactly. Don't come at me with baseball. Don't come at me with hockey. Don't come at me with MLS. I don't even know if it's a sport in the fall because who watches that? We're back, baby. We are back.
Why don't we just fucking watch cricket while we're watching baseball? I could give a fuck about either of those sports. I don't care. But Ghost, I wanted to ask you a question. You were very big on Dolphins Twitter, and then you just decided to literally go ghost. I don't know if you ever heard about temporarily locking your account instead of having to start all over. What happened there, and why'd you come back?
Well, I just wanted to focus on some things with school and whatnot, and I thought it was a pretty badass move to nuke a 12K account and then come back and just build it back, as Joe Biden would say, build back bigger, build back better. I'm at 5K in a month and a half, so already almost halfway there. But yeah, you just focus on school, and the season was over. You know how the Dolphins Twitter offseason goes. Nothing good happens. But I came back just in time for training camp. Nice welcome back. But it's good to be back. Good to have NFL back. NFL on TV yesterday. Wonderful.
I'm just glad to have you back. You know, because what people don't understand about Ghost here, and don't worry, this isn't just, I just want to catch up with my boy. I haven't seen him since like the regular season. If you ever watch Game of Thrones, like the one genius guy that could like get this fucking clan to attack that clan, that is Ghost. Ghost is the ultimate fucking chess player. He's one of the smartest people I've ever encountered, which is why he's a doctor. So I just want to put that out there. I want the people to know that Ghost, you are that guy. Like you kind of, even if you have just 5,000, I might have more than you, but you're the one that's like pulling people by the strings.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the background. It's fun to just social engineer things on Twitter and see how they play out. And, you know, I have fun doing it. I know a lot of people, this is, you know, it's kind of like their career. It's their life. It's their career.
It is kind of my career, asshole.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. No, my bad.
But I get paid to do it, so it's different.
That's a big difference. You get paid to do what you're doing. So, you know, I just like to have fun in the background. I give my original thoughts, a lot of OG content I put out there. But I have fun. I'm glad to be back. I just took a little break, focus on some things, focus on some more career-related stuff. A lot of people on Dolphins Twitter wouldn't know about it.
No, they would not. All right, let's get into the Miami Dolphins. Big year for us. Obviously, this team's fucking cursed. I don't care what anyone says. This team is cursed. You don't just build a stadium on an Indian burial ground, not win a playoff game in 23 years, sign a guy like Jalen Ramsey. You don't have him for 3 months. I mean, it doesn't matter who you sign. They end up getting hurt. Our quarterback could get 3 concussions in 1 year. Why? Because the team's cursed. Are you bought into this? Because I am. And I don't want to come here week one saying the team's cursed and being all sourpuss and shit. But Teron Armstead not playing week one is fucking bullshit, Ghost. I mean, how the fuck is your back, spine, and ankle fucked up before you play one game? I don't understand. It has to be the curse.
I mean, the curse is kind of separate. So I'm really, after the last 3 seasons, man, I'm kind of just really buying into it. Really just lean into the whole curse thing, because then it would make sense. You know what I mean? Then things would make sense if it was a curse, because everything that's happened to the team in the last 3 years, you know, we have the best roster that Miami has had in 23 years and counting right now.
That last year too.
And we did last year too, but I believe this roster is better than this year. But you know, unfortunately, Jalen Ramsey goes down. The one guy that we really wanted to see a big chess piece on this defense, probably would have played a lot of safety, probably would have played a lot of corner. You don't know where he's going to line up on defense, then Teron Armstead. But with Armstead, you know, that's kind of separate, because we kind of knew what we were getting, and all of us, and I'm looking at the entire fan base, we all applauded Armstead, but we knew what we were getting. The guy didn't play, a full
I
season
don't think he's
ever in his
ever
career.
played a full season his entire career.
So we knew what we were getting. So it's not like that's not something that I would kind of put on the curse tier, even though it does suck. I mean, he practiced 3 plays, maybe 3 times. And he got rolled up on, and things happen like that. If you go back to that Texans practice, did you look at the field they were playing on? They were playing on concrete outside of Walmart in Miami Gardens. So I don't know who put that together. Your professional football team, get your shit together.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is I'm thinking long term, and I honestly I want to focus on week 1, but the season hasn't started yet, and the only thing I can do is think long term. It's the best roster we've had in 23 years. Our total, shout out Evan for putting this in here, is 9.5. If you asked me 2 months ago what this Dolphins team's record would be, I tell you 12-5. Now, though, I don't know if it's because the season's coming closer or if Jalen Ramsey being hurt and Armstead being hurt and who knows who's going to be next. I'm thinking 10-7. Like 10-7, 9-8 as the floor. It's going to be tough, bro. If we start the season out without Ramsey, if Armstead misses the first 3 weeks, our first 3 weeks are brutal. Our first 4 weeks are not easy. I don't know. I don't want to sit here and be fucking negative before the season started, but has your optimism lowered? Because mine was like from here, and now it's kind of like here.
What we have with this Miami Dolphins team, I mean, we have 2 of I'd say top 10 wide receivers in the league. Outside of that, on offense, we have a rotating backfield. I do believe Mostert has a chip on his shoulder, especially with all the talks with Jonathan Taylor, all the talks with Dalvin Cook, and he gets asked every single day at every single press conference, what do you think about Miami looking at these running backs? So I think that he has a chip on his shoulder. I think our defense is fine. I do think that there's not going to. I think we're going to see a progression from last year, especially with Fangio in there. We're returning most of the starters. We added David Long. Of course, Jalen Ramsey, he's not going to play until late November, probably December. But I think our defense is going to progress, especially from last year, if it's just from the Fangio scheme alone. Now, as far as over-unders, how many games are they going to win? If Tua plays 17 games, I would put any mortgage amount of money, any mortgage level amount that we're going to win over 10.5 games. I would put that at any amount. With that said, Indian Burial Ground, Tua unfortunately hasn't been able to stay healthy for 3 years in a row. But that's what I would put it at. That's my confidence level. And I mean, the over-unders in Vegas, they usually are pretty correct. I mean, unless you have a serious outlier. But I mean, you're not going to ever see an over-under that's like 12.5, 13.5, even getting an 11.5. I think the Bills were like 11.5 when they were picked to win the Super Bowl last year or the year before.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm kind of nervous. I mean, I was a lot more confident before Ramsey and Armstead. And obviously, I know Armstead has injury problems. Tua has injury history. But in the offseason, it feels like the sliders are all the way up at 100 and no one can get hurt. And then training camp starts, and then it's like, boom, like 1 week in, star player gone. And then it's coming into this game, week 1, best cornerback, best left tackle not playing, boom. So it's kind of tough, but we'll worry about that when we get there. At the end of the day, I really only give a fuck if Tua's on the field and he's playing football. I think that's the most important thing to this football team. But let's focus about week 1 and what we have and what we don't have week 1. Don't have Jalen Ramsey, don't have Teron Armstead, but we do have Tua, we do have Tyreek Hill, we do have Jalen Waddle, we do have Javon Holland, we do have Brandon Jones, we do have Kader Kohu, we do have Xavier Howard, we do have Cam Smith, we do have JP, we do have Christian Wilkins, we do have Zach Sealer, we do have Bradley Chubb, and we do have Emmanuel Ogbah, and we do have David Long. I just named fucking everyone on the whole team. And after doing that, I'm feeling a little bit more confident because we got dogs. We got dogs on the football field. But just to simplify it for the viewers, Tua, Tyreek, Waddle, is that enough to get through LA this week?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the line has been sitting steady at -2.5, 3, or I don't even think it's gone over 3 yet. But yeah, I think it's more than enough. I think McDaniel learned from last year. If the Chargers try to play us the way they did last year, press the corners, get that inside leverage, make Tua throw outside the numbers. McDaniel, I think we're going to see a lot of a horizontal offense this year. We're everybody on Dolphins Twitter right now, and the entire offseason, Tua's average yard per target, highest in the league. He pushes the ball down. He pushes the ball down the field more than any other quarterback in the league. We're not going to see that this year. We're going to see a horizontal offense. We're going to bring in those linebackers. They're not going to be able to step back the way they did last year and not play the run, not respect the RPO game. Because that's just what happened towards the end of the year. I mean, those windows were this big by the end of the year. Once his linebackers, they weren't respecting the run game. They were dropping right into their hook zones, whatever it may be. But McDaniel's going to stretch that offense. And as long as our defense and this Fangio defense kind of clicks, nothing is really going to click 100% in the first week. But, we're taking a lot of pressure off the cornerbacks. I think Cater's going to play the boundary, on Sunday. But it's going to take a lot of pressure off the cornerbacks. We're not going to be sending 7 every single play like Boyer. We're not going to be sitting
3rd and 15, all out blitz, send them, fuck them.
Or we're not going to be sitting in the red zone 15 yards off the football on 3rd and 15 and, allowing a swing pass to go for a touchdown. I don't think that's going to happen this year. As long as our defense keeps us in the game. And, the only evidence that we have is when Tua plays, this team wins. That's just what happens.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the last time that we played LA, Tua did play, and it was one of his worst performances. It was honestly one of the team's worst performances the entire year. Does watching last year's game affect how you view this week's game? Because for me, I don't give a fuck about what happened last year. These guys are professional football players. These guys are professional head coaches. We have the professional coordinators. If anything, I think it's an advantage that we did play them so recently and that we did play so poorly so that we go into this game with a chip on our shoulder and we can't let that happen again. Like, they are probably showing that game over and over and over and over again. They probably have the score of the game all over the place. They probably have the stat comparison, you know what I'm talking about, between Tua and Herbert. That's probably hanging up in Tua's locker room right now. I think it's an advantage that we got our ass whipped last year. And now the fact we have a different defensive coordinator, so they're going to see a whole different look. The Chargers will on offense. I think it's a huge advantage for us. Do you feel the same?
McDaniel got blatantly outcoached that game. They came in with a plan. They executed the plan. I mean, nobody played the Dolphins like they finally figured out a formula to play the Dolphins and slow down this offense. That's what happened. And McDaniel, he was a rookie head coach. He's a rookie. People don't realize that this guy was a rookie last year. He had issues with clock management. He had issues adjusting. He had issues abandoning the run game. He was a rookie as well. He's going to make those adjustments. This guy's a nerd. He probably watched that game over 1,000 times. Probably figured out some insane scheme, some horizontal scheme. But we're going to see a lot of horizontal offense. I think the days of being able to post that to his average depth of target, I think those are more than gone last year, but in a good way because Tua didn't check down enough last year. We were forcing the ball downfield when we didn't need to, abandoning the run game. But I think that does give us an advantage, to your point, that we got our asses kicked last year with an incredible game plan by Staley. McDaniel just didn't adjust, couldn't adjust, and that's what happened. And at the end of the day, we were still in that game in the fourth quarter. So it doesn't even – we got absolutely obliterated on all fronts of coaching. We got outcoached on offense. We got outcoached on defense. And we were still in that game in the fourth quarter. So I think it is our advantage. I think McDaniel's got a few tricks up his sleeve and going a little horizontal. And those linebackers are going to be in limbo, all game.
I hope so. Well, shout out to my man Bearded Fanatic for the donation. I appreciate you, brother. He says, I wouldn't want it any other game besides this one. This one sat with them since last year. Finn's got it. 100,000% agree with you. I mean, even like, for example, this is going to sound stupid, but if I play my boy in Madden and he fucks me up 35-0 or 21 skunks me, like, that next game is personal. I might not win, but I am doing everything I can to not get fucking embarrassed again. And I think that's going to be the exact same thing that happens with the Miami Dolphins. But I do want to ask you, since we don't have Armstead, how do you feel about Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack? I'm honestly nervous. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I don't like that matchup. I'm not sold on AJ. I'm not sold on AJ at all. Now, I know everyone wants to say, oh, new year, clean slate. Nah, fuck that, bro. It's been 3 years. It's been 3 years. This is year 4. I don't like Liam Eichenberg. Do I think Kendall Lamb is a solid, good player? Sure. But do I think Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack are a different beast from a different planet? Yes, absolutely. And as a Dolphins fan, I'd be lying to you if I said I'm nervous about that. I think it's a clear matchup advantage for the Chargers over the Miami Dolphins when it comes to their edge rushers versus our offensive tackles. Do you agree or disagree?
Khalil Mack, not so much. Maybe it was Khalil Mack 3 or 4 years ago from the Bears. Then I'd be a little bit nervous. But Joey Bosa, obviously, one of probably top 3 edge rushers in the league right now.
And his brother, and probably
his brother who just got the bag. But yeah, it's. I think our interior offensive line, and it's going to be very interesting to see what McDaniel does with Liam Eichenberg and Wynn. I personally hope that Wynn starts at that left guard position. But yeah, Kendall Lamb in limited time, I think he had 30, 40 snaps last year. He graded well in PFF, but that's such a small sample size when you're at left tackle. It does make me nervous, but I think, again, this comes down to McDaniel figuring out a way to get the ball out of his hand, to figure out a way to get this run game going. You stiffed Dalvin Cook on a contract. You couldn't get a Jonathan Taylor trade done, regardless of what was going up Jim Irsay's nose.
Regardless of what was fair or not.
Regardless of what was fair. You couldn't get it done, and you were very comfortable with who you have in this backfield. And you said publicly multiple times, we are going to commit to the run this year. I came off the run way too many times last year, admitted himself. He said we were running the ball well. Buffalo game, first when we were up in Buffalo.
Bro, that game still haunts me, not running the ball on the Bills' 35-yard line on 3rd and 2 when we're averaging 8 yards carry, bro.
Yeah, I mean, McDaniel, he was a rookie head coach. People don't realize this guy was a rookie too. Coaches can be rookies.
Yep.
And they were rookie mistakes. And we saw it in plenty of areas. Clock management, inability to adjust, abandoning the run game, trying to force it downfield, going deep when you don't need to, live and die by the splash play. We're going to see a lot more horizontal offense, especially with Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. I think Sunday, we have Devon A-Chain. We'll see what McDaniel has up his sleeve, but we're not going to see, we're still probably going to see a lot of highlights down the field like we did last year. But
I like them though. I like the deep shots. I like not being so, copy and paste, so textbook. Like, I like the fact that McDaniel is doing so much pre-snap motion that we don't even know who should really be motioning or not. But that's why I'm so excited for this second year in McDaniel, because now these guys should have this system mastered. And if they're not, they're probably, just a little bit slow in the fucking head, if you know what I mean. There was one point where Tyreek Hill came out and he said he didn't know what route he was supposed to run. He would just try to get open and find space. That should not happen this year. Like, Tyreek should know where he's going. Jalen should know where he's going. Even fucking Braxton Berrios should know where he's going. And the pre-snap motion, that should be cleaned up. But what I'm most excited for, and it's one of the things you brought up, I want to see McDaniel's evolution as a head coach when it comes to his time management. Because last year, it was abysmal. I honestly think it cost us at least 2 to 3 wins last year, just on that alone. Now, if he comes in here and he's managing the clock, I'm not asking him to be perfect. You're going to get things wrong. You're going to throw the challenge flag and never win one all year. He's got to win one challenge. I think he won one in the preseason. Not counting it, though. He's got to win at least one challenge. But I'm more excited for McDaniel's second-year leap than, honestly, any player on this team.
Yeah, it's going to be the biggest. This will probably be the biggest addition to the offense as McDaniel being in his second year. And you kind of, it's addition by experience. I really like the things that he said this year. If he came in this year and, in his pressers, and he'd take pressers with a grain of salt. And if he came in and said that, hey, we're going to grow on what we did last year, and, we'll keep moving forward. But, he did say, he's like, hey, we didn't do enough. I abandoned the run game. I was bad in clock management. I got the plays in late. I didn't know what plays out to call. He took more time than he needed to. I think in our playoff game up in Buffalo, it was a fourth and 1, 4th and inches, whatever it was, and we had to delay a game. You can't do that as a head coach. But McDaniel's a nerd, man. This is what he's been doing 120 hours a week, probably 3x work weeks. This guy's putting in. That he's watching film at home
7 days a week, 12 hours a day, and it's all coming down in 2 days. That's a bar right there. Put that one down in your notebook. Smokes bars. Put that one down. Anyway, so we kind of talked about our offense versus their defense, but I want to talk about their offense versus our defense. And this is where I think we actually have the advantage. Now, I know we lost Jalen Ramsey, but to be fair, I believe the cornerback position was probably the one position on this whole roster where if we lost one of our starters, we actually had the depth to fill that void until our starter came back. Now, last year, that wasn't the case because it got all the way down to Noah Igbenogany, who's no longer on the team. Hallelujah. Count your blessings. Love Keon Crossan, but he's more of a special teams guy. When you're getting down to cornerback 5, cornerback 6 on the depth chart, you're not going to be a good football team. I don't care who your defensive coordinator is. But this year, we have a healthy X. You got Cam Smith. You got Kader Kohu. You got guys that could play. And I love Javon Holland. I love Brandon Jones. But our defensive line, and I truly believe this, is top 2, top 3 in the NFL. And I think they're going to give the Chargers problems this week. Do you see the same thing happening or no?
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what Fangio comes out with. His scheme is force the offense to make a mistake, and we know Herbert does make those mistakes. If as long as we can get pressure with 4 or 5 this year, it's not going to be we're going to dominate some teams, especially when there's a question mark at quarterback or the quarterback is prone to some issues or mistakes, misreading things. But this defense that Fangio is putting together, it's going to force that offense to play perfect if they're going to score any points. You have to run 20 plays, 15, 20 plays, and you have to play perfect every single one of those plays to score some points. It's pretty vanilla during the preseason. You never really judge anything off preseason. But even with Jalen Ramsey being out and Kader going on the boundary, Cam Smith's probably going to get some action. He showed that he had that dog mentality coming in. David Long, we needed a linebacker to fill some gaps. If Landon Roberts could cover, that's what David Long is in my book. He's an Landon Roberts who can actually cover in the pass game. Brandon Jones being back, people don't realize that our pressure. It's
watch our interview together, by the way. Plug.
As soon as he came off the field, our pressure was disastrous for the rest of the season because, man, people underrated that this guy coming off the edge, this guy blitzing. He gave us that Jamal Adams type of pressure, and we really suffered because of it. But we're going to take a lot of pressure off the cornerbacks. Xavier Howard is going to be able to play in his zone. That's his mantra, and being able to stare in that backfield and make those big plays. We put a lot of pressure on X last year. People said that he regressed, which I think is bull. He was in a tough situation last year.
One hamstring.
Tough situation last year, just scheme wise. I mean, when you're blitzing 7 guys every single 3rd down and 4th down, or 3rd and short, 3rd and long, whatever it may be, and you're on the number 1 guy, you're gonna get beat a couple times. But this scheme that Fangio's coming in with,
hamstring,
especially when you have one hamstring.
I literally had dinner with him, and he's like, "I'm like, are you healthy?" He's like, "Yes, bro. Like, thank God. Like, finally." And I asked him, I was like, "So, like, when did it really start hurting?" Because like guys play through it and they don't go on the injury report until 2 weeks later. He said, "Dude, I played on one groin after the Bills game, so like he was fine, hurt at the Bills game, and then played the entire year on one groin in Boyer's man coverage system the whole year." So we should honestly just be blessed that Xavier Howard could still run on two legs right now.
Yeah, and I mean, you pair that with Jalen Phillips coming into, I think he's really going to come into his own this year. Christian Wilkins, regardless of not being able to get a contract done, he's the heart and soul of that defense. He's going to play every snap that like it's his last. Zach Sealer, my guy, finally got his extension. I'm a big Sealer stan, probably one of the biggest on Dolphins Twitter, and I was a stan before Sealer stands existed. I just want to put that out there.
Very true.
I want credit for that. I want credit for Zach Sealer stan. Thank you.
But
yeah, I mean, as long as we get pressure with 4 or 5, and those cornerbacks are, they're allowed to, look in that backfield and be able to play a little bit more aggressive on the edge, I think we're going to be fine. And I think we do have the advantage on defense against the Chargers, especially, Herbert, when he gets those happy feet, when he gets under pressure, we do see a lot of mistakes for how much talent the guy has. We always see the big throws, and we always see, the highlights from Herbert. He is prone to mistakes once he starts feeling that pressure, especially against zone defenses where he has to make multiple reads.
I like that a lot, and that kind of brings me into my next question. Anytime the Dolphins play the Chargers, we're going to hear about this. Tua versus Herbert. As a Dolphins fan, Does it bother you hearing that 3 years down the line? Are you kinda over it? Are you content with how things are? Are you happy? Are you sad? How do you feel, Ghost, personally, when you hear the Tua versus Herbert, "Oh, the Dolphins messed up"?
I mean, if you asked me like 3 years ago, I had Herbert on my list. I was a big remember when Chip Kelly coached for Oregon? I became like this weird. I'm a Penn State fan, but I became this like weird Oregon stan and just watched all their games. And then when Justin Herbert came in, me and my buddy we like made it this kind of joke, like the scam joke that we were going to bet Herbert every single game. And he started winning us a lot of money. So we were watching like a lot of Herbert tapes. We were watching I watched just about every single game that guy played in Oregon, and I'm like, especially after Tua had that injury, I was kind of leaning more Herbert, and I want him on the team. But dude, it's 3 years down the road. It's 4 years now, right? We're on the fourth year.
Yeah. Yeah,
We're 4 years down the road. Like at this point, it's like I don't even put any thought into the argument or arguing back. Neither quarterback has won a playoff game yet. Neither quarterback has won, an MVP. So like, what are you comparing to? It's like,
And that's my thing.
What are you comparing it to?
Let me be very transparent. Do I think Herbert is more talented, as in like he could throw this ball, he could do this, he could run a 4.6? Yes, absolutely. Like that's not debatable. But that doesn't mean he is a much better quarterback. Like people talk about the Tua Herbert thing as if Tua should be fucking wiping his ass. Like they're not even close. They have this basically the same amount of wins. And if you factor in Tua's injury history, like that's insane to even think about. I mean, yes, Herbert has better numbers. No shit. Like that's who he is. He puts up the best numbers in the league. But I want a guy that can win games. I want a guy that could put the game away in the fourth quarter. I want a smart, accurate decision maker. Now, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, yeah, Tua's much better than Herbert. But I just don't like how people talk about Justin Herbert and then they talk about Tua as if they don't belong in the same sentence. Like they act like they're on two different planets.
Yeah, it's ridiculous 4 years down the road. I mean, it was fun to do it the first year, the second year. Kind of got old the third year, and now it's like super old. It's two different quarterbacks, two different talents, two different types of talents. We saw what happens. Look at Patrick Mahomes last night. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter how much talent you have. Things have to go right in your offense. Things have to go smooth. And anything can happen. But when you're comparing talents, everyone became a quarterback evaluator over the last 4 years. I'm kind of sick of that one too. Everyone wants to evaluate quarterbacks. Everyone thinks they could evaluate quarterbacks. People had Skyler as our taking the reins from Tua, and Tua was going to be traded.
Oh, Skyler.
I'm really just like sick of that shit already. But yeah, dude, you're looking at two different talents. I mean, we know what we have in Tua. The Chargers know what they have in Herbert. And if you can't admit the faults, and if you can't admit the faults, and you can only say, "Wow, look at Herbert's arm," and you can't admit that he loves to turn the ball over in the fourth quarter in desperate situations, and you can't, ob over some of the throws
outside of the Green Bay game where he literally played with 0 brain cells.
That's correct. Yes.
Yes.
One of them. One of the quarterbacks was in the MVP conversation before, unfortunately, injuries took over, and his name wasn't Justin Herbert. So. I mean, that's really, if you want to go accolades, that's really all they have. But we got to see.
Herbert does have Rookie of the Year, but we don't care about that because
we don't care about that. He was Rookie of the Year with 4 wins.
You know what we do care about though? Making money. I want you to give me 2 bets. Oh, I put up 3, so 3 bets that you like in this Dolphins game. I'll start first because I know I didn't prep you with the question. I love Tyreek Hill anytime touchdown scorer at plus 115. I was going to go Jalen Waddle, but he's been kind of freaking me out a little bit just because he hasn't really been practicing much. So I know he's healthy enough to play, obviously, or else they wouldn't have played him. I think he will be somewhat limited to a certain capacity, but I just know Tyreek's going to go out there. He's going to either pick up another fumble, do a loop-de-loop, and fucking score, or he's just going to burn someone on the first play on a play-action pass like they always do. I love Tyreek Hill to get in the end zone at plus 115. I also now this one's going to be a little out of left field. Devon Achane to score a touchdown is plus 380. We don't really have a power back. Jeff Wilson out. I could see Raheem Mostert doing what he does best. 25-yard run, gets tackled at the 3-yard line. He needs a breath. Here comes A-Chain. Put him on the board. Plus 380. Devon A-Chain. Anytime touchdown scorer. And then lastly, I don't think I could be a Dolphins fan if I don't say this. I'm taking the plus 3. Plus 3. I'm not taking the money line because I'm going to be real with you. I'm nervous about this game. It would not surprise me if the Dolphins lost this game. And I know that sounds pussy. It sounds soft. The Chargers are good. We don't have our best left tackle. I'm nervous. I am. And I'm not saying they're going to lose, but I would not be surprised if they did. I would not be surprised if they did. Because the following week when we play the Patriots, we're going to beat the living fuck out of them because they're going to somehow play the Eagles good this week and everyone's going to overreact. We're going to go into Foxborough and beat the living fuck out of them.
They're only plus.
We're going to
come
come home.
Plus 4 at home. That's
that's what I'm saying. Like that line
crazy,
like the
crazy
Patriots
line.
for some reason will play good on Sunday against the Eagles, and then we're going to go to their house, beat the living shit out of them. Then we're going to beat the Broncos, and then we're going to go to Buffalo. And that's where I think we could go 3-1, 2-2, and then boom. Like our schedule starts picking up from there. But I love the Dolphins plus 3. If this team loses by more than 3 points, I will be a little bit nervous. I know Armstead's out, but if it's anything remotely close to what it was last year, I will be somewhat nervous for the next couple of weeks.
All right, I got 2 bangers and 1 out of left field because you gave me 1 out of left field. Very easy hit. I'm going with Peterbilt Tua over 3.5 rushing yards.
I love that. Wow.
Over 3.5 rushing yards. We're going with Tua.
I might put that in right now.
You got to put that in right now because it's going to flare up, dude. We're going to go with Peterbilt Tua. We're going to see it just the way he did in
he's going to have to run for his life.
He's going to have to, dude. He's going to have over 3.5. He's probably have like 10 yards rushing.
I love
We always see it. We always see it. I love that.
Keep cooking.
Absolutely. We're going to go my out of left field. First touchdown scorer, Durham Smythe.
Woo! Fire.
First touchdown scorer, Durham Smythe.
Fire.
And honestly, if we're talking like game bets, staying away from the spread, staying away from the line, staying away from the money line, I am going over 51.
Over.
I am going over 51. This is I love shootouts, and I mean you have a good offense in the Chargers. You have a new defensive coordinator in Fangio. It's the first game of the season. I think we're going over, especially with Tua, Tyreek, Waddle, this new offense. McDaniel's second year, Fangio first year. We'll see, man. I'd go over 51. But yeah, those are my 3. Over.
I'd love a Dolphins little shootout, like 31-30 win in LA. I would love that. Actually, nah, fuck that. I want to win 52-0, but I'll take the close game blowout. All right, final game score. You go first, so I can put the pressure on you.
31-28 Dolphins.
Before the show started, I was going to pick the Dolphins to lose.
You still
But
can't.
now I'm sitting here thinking about Tua to Tyreek, Tua to Jalen, Mostert outside, A-Chain out of the backfield, JP, Bradley Chubb. I see Javon Holland, interception. I see the Dolphins winning this fucking football game. I didn't see it an hour ago, but I see it now. The vision's clear in my head. JP has 2 sacks and a strip sack fumble. Brandon Jones has 1 sack. Javon Holland, interception to win the game for the Miami Dolphins. I just saw it. The Dolphins win this game. 28-29. I don't know how they're going to get to 29. I don't know how the math is going to work. But the Dolphins win this football game 28-29. Comb your hair and take care. Ghost, thank you for coming on. It's always a pleasure to have you. I'm going to kick you off real quick just because I have to talk to my audience for 1 second. But I love you and thank you for being here.
Pleasure being here, bud. Good to see you again.
Chat, everyone in here, I owe you guys an apology. I dropped the ball this offseason. I put out no fucking content. I did no preseason work. I did absolutely nothing. And I owe you guys an apology because what we did last year was spectacular. We would have over 200 people in here live. And then I kind of just like fell off as if it didn't mean anything. And that's like the furthest thing from the truth. I just did not know what to fucking come up here and talk to you guys about for an hour during the offseason. So I just want to let you guys know mano y mano, if it's mano y mano, that I'm sorry. It'll never happen again. And I pray I see all of you guys back here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday because we have a big, big season ahead of us. And I don't want to spend it with anybody else except you guys. So if you haven't already, please hit the like button, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys for Victory Monday. Let's fucking go.